On this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, Councillor Thomas Neufeld joins us in discussing Open Streets 2023. And we kind of sideline him a little bit and talk about the potential bill for the Board of Education and properties and whatnot, but hey, does quite well.
Properties.
You're my hype man. We also have local marathon enthusiast Janet Morrice on the show to discuss her recent Boston Marathon and her, what was it, the majors? The marathon
the
majors?
World Marathon Majors, yes.
Insanity.
She's running
Everywhere, around the globe. She probably has around the globe. Stay tuned on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast for all that and more.
round the world.
That Kingsville Podcast brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. Should I do this in more of a radio voice? Because I'm gonna. The whole read. 6 different types of brews in one case, gentlemen.
Tell me more, Dave.
Well, for the first time, you could get 6 different Kingsville brews in one convenient case delivered right to your doorstep.
My doorstep?
Your doorstep.
What if I don't want it delivered to his doorstep?
Your doorstep,
Oh,
too.
good.
Our new mix cases feature 4 cans of each of our Light A Lager, Czech Style Lager, Hefeweizen IPA, Hazy IPA, and Yuzu Saison. The new mix cases are now available on our online brew store, and each case purchased also receives an entry to win free beer for 1 year. 1 case purchased equals 1 entry. The more you buy, the more chances you have to win.
Did you say a chance for free beer?
Free beer!
Free beer?
Free
For a
beer! Year of free beer.
Wow.
Buy now. Free delivery to Windsor, Essex County, Wheatley, and Tilbury. $5 flat fee delivery to the Sioux. Visit kingsvillebrewery.ca for more free beer. Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. Back again, folks. I'm your host, Dave. That's Kevin, Steve,
Kevin
Black, Steve Jansen. Well, folks, we had a taste of summer here, a week or so ago. It was 80 some-ish. What's that in Celsius? A lot of degrees.
30 is 86.
Yeah. Well,
28 or 82.
We got, I think
27,
it was like 26,
81.
27.
yeah, it was summer for a good solid week.
So you'd
here.
say like right now in Kingsville it's 27 Celsius, 81 Fahrenheit.
Who's that brought to us by?
Kevin Black.
Kingsville Brewery. Have you tried their Hefeweizen?
Right now at Kingsville Brewery, mixed packs are available.
Yuzu Saison.
Yuzu Saison. It's got a ring to it. It's
That'd be
great.
perfect last week.
It was. Like, I sat out on my deck and I was like, man, this is still in.
I sat out on your deck.
You did.
So did I.
We all did. We had a planning session where we planned this episode, believe it or not. No, we really didn't. We did that over text, but let's pretend like we were doing podcasting stuff, because we kind of did. It's an excuse to drink beer outside. It's a lovely night. Can't wait for the rest of summer to come, but we got a lot of things that got to happen between now and then. So this episode, we're going to discuss with Thomas about what was happening with Open Streets.
Open Streets. I forget. That's the one. Open Streets, the one where they close the streets, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's
Right.
the opposite. So
I just wanted to make sure I remember.
He'll give us closure.
properly.
Won't leave it open-ended.
Yeah.
No dead ends.
No, it's a closed topic.
Oh, and we're also talking to Janet Morrice. She's a local marathon runner who just recently ran the Boston Marathon. So that should be interesting. So why don't we get right into it? Let's give Thomas a call. Joining us on That Kingsville Podcast, Kingsville Town Councillor Thomas Neufeld. Thomas, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
It's Thomas, yeah, absolutely.
The first person that's ever said that to us, I think.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're back on the radio?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Or maybe the only long-time listener, though, too. So who knows?
First time. No.
We only had a couple of the stations I was on too, so that's about right.
Yes, Thomas, I think you're listener number 7 or 8 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But-
So you win the tickets. Congratulations.
Perfect.
So, Thomas, we asked if you could come on the show because there was a marathon of a debate a few weeks ago at Town Council. I believe it was like we're an hour and 20 minutes that you guys had a lengthy discussion about Open Streets 2023.
Yeah, it was a lengthy discussion,
Oh,
for sure. A lot of debate, a lot of back and forth, a lot of motions.
a lot of
It was,
amended motions.
yeah, I mean, I mean, you could tell obviously from the video that council was split. I imagine just like the public is over this. We really don't know what to do about open streets, and so I guess we had an idea going in, and everyone had their own opinion, and then we, in the end, did cobble together some dates, and I think in the end, what we want to do is really try and get some good feedback from the businesses, from the public over this summer, and find out really, do we need to continue open streets? Should we continue open streets, or has it run its course? Does it need to move to a parking lot party, or in a park somewhere? Like, do we need to close down the streets? There's still some data that we need to gather. So I think it'll be good this summer. I mean, I like the events. Don't get me wrong. I do like the events. I just don't know that we need it every weekend.
So, Thomas, before we get into the debate and some of your thoughts on it, let's recap where it landed. So, what does Open Streets look like this year?
So, July, there's going to be 3 dates. There's going to be a July date out in Cottam as well, July 22nd, and then 2 dates in August. So they're going to be July 8th, 15th, 29th, and then August 19th and 26th. That's going to be in Kingsville, and then July 22nd in Cottam. Now, the Cottam event, we're not sure if County Council will allow us to close down the county road. If they do, then we'll have it on the main street there. If not, Ridgeview Park is an option. We could do a side street. There's also a municipal parking lot on the south side of County Road 34 that we could possibly use as well.
Yeah, because both of those roads are county roads, right? Both 34 and 27.
27, yeah.
Yes.
So then let's talk about the debate, because this is down from the initial proposal from staff, right? If I remember right, this is 2 dates less than the initial proposal. 3 dates less.
Correct.
So what led here?
I'm sorry, what led?
Yeah, how did we get to being down 3 days from what staff was proposing?
Well, I think one of the dates was proposed for the Hogs for Hospice date. So then that was, well, maybe we should put out in Cottam that date. And then there was the weekend of the Kingsville Music Festival, Greenway Jam. So then that was debated about. We didn't really want to have competing events. So we nixed those dates, and I'll be honest, myself personally, I wanted July 1st and a wrap up of summer August 26th, and other councillors felt otherwise, and that's so. In the spirit of compromise, that's how we came up with our 5.
Yeah, your initial motion was that there was feedback from the community that you felt we did not have a good understanding or definition of what the event was to do. Also, some of the concerns from some of the local business owners and residents in the surrounding area. And you proposed that taking the year to collect some data, better define, and then coming back in 2024 with a well-formatted event and better scheduling was kind of your direction.
Yes, there was a motion put forward by Councillor Patterson to actually just take a year off and brainstorm. And in the end, I did kind of agree with that. But again, don't get me wrong. I do like open streets. I've attended open streets, and I think they did have a purpose during COVID. Now that everything's opened up, I don't necessarily know that if we should be, closing down the main east, west, north, south corridors of Kingsville. If you look at other municipalities that do, open streets type, it's not necessarily their main streets. It's usually like, a side street or an offshoot of Main where it's not really affecting the traffic as much. I don't know if you know this, guys, but there is a traffic problem on Main Street. So now rerouting. Haven't heard that yet?
No.
Well, there is a rumor that there's heavy traffic at times down Main Street. So now, if you're rerouting that,
it's not supposed to take me 20 minutes to cross the town. Like, that's not normal.
I just listened to what is that country station? And
I don't know what station you're talking about. I've never heard of it.
No. And that Main Street traffic is now being rerouted to Beach Street and Pearl Street, and so much so that town needed to install speed humps there because people were speeding by. So you had, those neighbors that, or those residents that were unhappy with the amount of traffic that's now flowing past their house. And there were some businesses, not all businesses, but some businesses don't see the benefit of the open streets and actually, suffer losses. So, as a municipal councillor, you have to look at all sides, not just maybe the benefiting, restaurants and bars. Again, I do support the open streets. I think they have their place. I mean, I've enjoyed going there, but I don't necessarily know that we have to have it every weekend. And we don't necessarily have to close the streets to do that. We could host it in a parking lot. We could host it in one of the green spaces we have in town. And the same thing could be achieved.
Well, and to that, Thomas, what does the ideal event look like to you? And I know you kind of went over it kind of at a high level, but what do you think Open Streets needs to become to be successful for businesses in the town?
Well, again, the initial thought was, or the initial purpose was to help the struggling restaurants during COVID. Okay? And we've achieved that.
Businesses.
Now that
businesses,
but there were certain businesses that you could do, pickup and stuff. It was, the restaurants that were really hurting.
Right.
Predominant.
Yep. They were able to take advantage of it immediately. Yes.
But now you can have a patio outside. Now, you can make application to make patio. That is possible now in our times. So we don't necessarily need to close down streets to be able to do that. When you move it into let's say a parking lot or a green space off the streets, I mean, the examples are there. I mean, the night markets are all over the place. We've seen that. We've been to them. There's no reason why our restaurants or our local businesses cannot do the same.
It sounds obviously that your biggest concern with it is simply closing the streets. And I wonder, is there a significant cost impact to doing that as opposed to doing it in a parking lot? I couldn't tell you exactly, obviously, the dollar figures amount, but I mean, when you're closing the street, so now you have to man the barricades, right? And we do have volunteer groups that do it, but when you get to, multiple weekends, you don't always have the volunteer base. So, now you're staffing that at, whatever town staff makes per hour, overtime, right? So, I mean, those costs do add up after a while. Now, that's not obviously going to be every weekend, but it is something to consider. But again, if you have it in a segregated area, it's fenced off, and then it's done.
Well, into that,
and there's the least amount of distraction, or I guess from the main flow of traffic, I guess.
And just to clarify, volunteers can man the barricades, but it has to be a person that's actually trained and has a permit in closing down a street. And usually that's a town employee that in public works.
Yep.
Yeah, and they have to be of a certain age, and again, you gotta have children do it. So there are some criteria there as well. Yeah.
So we have the dates. What's the time frame on those dates?
So the Kingsville dates are from 4 till 10:30 p.m. So closing down at 3:30, I guess, and then back open at 11. And
the one in Cottam closes down at 3:30 till 10:30.
We've also made a scheduling change, or tentatively made a scheduling change about July 1st as well, to add to the events in the downtown core.
Initially, yes, but that July 1st date was scrapped. And I guess tentatively now, Canada Day celebrations will be at the Kingsville Arena as they were in the past. The only hiccup there is that there's a construction project that's going to be happening over the summer, so there might be limited space. That was the intention of bringing it to open street, so you can kind of combine the two. And I mean, I thought it was a great idea. That would have closed the streets earlier, I think around 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the plan was to have a lighted parade from the Carnegie down to Lakeside Park, and then have some fireworks. And to me, that sounds like a great afternoon, evening. But council didn't see it that way, and so that motion lost.
All right. And anything else on open streets, guys? I think we kind of got it.
Yeah, no, other than that, I'm curious to see, because one of the other requests of the administration was data. and the council was very adamant that through this year's events, they wanted to understand the impact. And now that we have an ECDEV officer and tourism officer in Sue Rice, who's assisting Karen Loney and her team with hopefully the execution and the communication throughout the business community, it'll be interesting to see what this revised schedule and the impact and the understanding of the value or lack thereof from this year's event. So, hopefully next year, either we're having a conversation about how to make it bigger and better, or, there's some other opportunity for a different event to be held in Kingsville.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, without the data, we're kind of flying blind here. So, we're doing what we did, what we know to do, but there is no theme really. So we're going to have a good, strong look at this in the fall and see, what information did we gather, and make some serious decisions about next year. And I really hope that the businesses participate. I really hope that the residents give honest feedback. And the catchment area needs to be larger than just the downtown businesses. I mean, because you do have people that visit from other parts of town, from other parts of the county, from potentially outside the county. We need to be able to catch that information, as much of it as we can.
Sam Zad said that he did a study on it. Wonder if we could get that information from Sam.
Love to hear that. Yes.
Yeah.
The more information, the better.
Agreed. The one thing, and Thomas, I wholly admit that this is kind of catching you off guard. We quickly gave you a heads up before we started recording that we were going to bring it up. And the town, and really no one has a whole lot of information about it yet, but the provincial government has signaled the intention to pass a bill or an act that would allow the Minister of Education to direct the sale of surplus school properties. So obviously for Kingsville, that's fairly significant, since a minister direction now would kind of kibosh that standard ability for a town to have first right to purchase the high school and the KPS properties. So
and Jack Minor.
Yeah. I mean, that one has a little bit less impact, but
true. No, but
the, and specifically the act calls out that they're doing it for housing purposes, which, the town, obviously, Thomas, and you're well aware, the town's been talking about wanting to do some housing at the high school, but a developer might be able to come forward with a pretty juicy looking proposal for some 6 or 10 story apartment buildings for KPS, and the town might not
20.
have a whole lot of say.
Go up.
So So Thomas, I know that's a whole lot of info that I just spouted off.
Go on, you've been in radio how long?
but
I was busy writing down notes. So
what's really and obviously there needs to be some more information released. But what's kind of your preliminary reaction to some of that?
Well, when you have a majority government, they kind of do what they want, right? So it's certainly difficult. I'm glad we have a good working relationship with our local MP, our MPP, and obviously we're going to need some more information. Housing is important to province. Housing is certainly one of this council's priorities. So, without a whole bunch of information, it's hard for me to comment on it.
I would assume though that this kind of leads the town into instead of just saving money, now you're almost in lobby mode.
Yeah, trying
to defend the right to purchase something, which can be difficult too.
Well, I know the province likes to have shovel-ready projects, so it might light a little fire under our butts to perhaps have something ready or close to ready for when the time comes. Right now we're just saving money because there's still kids in that school, so it's not an option yet for us. So time will tell, I guess. But we haven't been secret about it. We are interested in those properties and the potential that they provide. So no concrete plans have been discussed or planned out.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's all speculation right now. I mean, you can read on social media. Everyone's got an idea of what should be there, and we're
not me.
People on social have opinions. The one thing that I do wonder though, because if a developer is the one that's able to go forward to the province and say this is a development I want to do, does that also kind of push the council to look at implementing some of those? The Main Street Development Committee had recommendations. Does this start pushing some of those discussions? It was discussed about height restrictions of buildings this week at Committee of the Whole. Does this start to prioritize some of those discussions so that you're able to kind of protect yourself before some of those potential projects come forward, right?
Right. And that was those discussions that we just had on Monday, which had a very healthy participating crowd show up, which is always nice to see. It's always good to see engaged citizens. And we made some. I think we made some good decisions to be voted on again at council, just with regards to building heights in proximity to the downtown or Main Street area, right? So you won't see a 10-story building in the downtown core, right? I think we've maxed it out actually at 6 stories, as far as even on the other side, east of Gasperson and west of where you would say the Home Hardware is.
Yeah, I would have very lengthy conversations with our local MP regarding regarding the impact that if the town of Kingsville was not able to retain control over 2 surplus properties in that core area while we're trying to strategically plan the future of the town. That one also, lines an IRCA protected area and is in the immediate downtown of Kingsville. That maybe some extra care and concern should be surrounded about this, because it literally, and I hate using that word, I hate it, but it is the future of our town. So get ready, buckle up.
It's certainly a component of it for sure. And like I said, we do have a good working relationship with Mr. Lairdy, and, we're maybe fortunate in a way that he is part of the governing body that's in power. So
We'll just
like I said, a good working relationship goes a long way. It's certainly more difficult when your representative is on the opposite side of the governing body.
Yes, we'll just invite Minister of Education Stephen Lecce down, and we'll get him some perch and some delicious beer and wine from the area.
She can have.
Oh, that's right too. She was a page there. See, okay, Steve,
we've got it in.
Wow.
Start making some phone calls.
Okay.
Well, Thomas.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going to happen. You're a well-seasoned councillor for the town of Kingsville. A lot of things that are hot button that are now quickly kind of coming to light. So, there
are some exciting times happening in the next certainly in the next few years, and we're tasked with making decisions now that will affect, the next generations. That we're going to be, working on our strategic plan, which, will put us 40, 50 years out and how Kingsville will look. And, you can't make these decisions lightly, obviously, and it's not going to make everybody happy. One thing I've learned sitting on council is, regardless of the decision you make, it's going to be wrong to somebody. And, you're always going to make somebody upset. It's just, you have to do what's best for the majority of Kingsville, and that includes business, that includes, low income, high income, medium income, that includes the developers, that includes, the municipality to run efficiently, right? And, and again, then the tax base, right? Like there are many components that go into one decision. So it's certainly not an easy job, but I love it, and hopefully I do it good for the next 3 years, according to some people.
Well, and the town can help. The town can help you make those decisions and those choices by communicating their care and concern for certain issues. So I would echo the fact that you guys at every instance at the meeting, committee of the whole meeting on Monday, email the councillors, let them know how everyone feels, whether it be about these issues or others. The only way that you can act is if you know.
Public feedback is great, whether it's good or bad. I mean, that's how we base our decisions. Is what the public wants, and it's not always just the loud majority, right? I don't necessarily like using that term, but I mean, sometimes it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, but not always. And when they don't get the grease, well, boy, you hear
it. They come out in droves, don't they? They're very concerned.
Well, sometimes, but hey, I mean, you know what? They're passionate, and I can't, disregard that.
Absolutely. Well, Thomas, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight and discussing open streets and this potential bill that's going to affect Kingsville. Thank you very much again for your volunteer and service for the town of Kingsville, and we're excited.
Gentlemen, the pleasure was mine. I really appreciate it, and hope to be back sometime.
Well, listen,
maybe in person.
I was just going to say, we'll get you in the hot seat where, other councillors, mayors and whatnot have been here with us. And, next time maybe we'll have other fun topics to discuss. But thanks for
talk about the paving of certain things if you want.
Is there more to pave? There's a whole lower bowl. Oh, Steve's
there is, isn't there?
Steve's giving me like laser eyes. All right, Thomas. Thanks again for joining us on That Kingsville Podcast.
All right, bye-bye.
That Kingsville Podcast also proudly supported by Morrice Insurance. Are you frustrated with the current level of service you get from your insurance company? Or concerned that some of your most important assets aren't covered the way they should be? Whether it's your car, your house, your income, or your business, ask the professionals at Morrice Insurance for a full review and get the peace of mind you need with your insurance. Call Morrice Insurance today at 519-733-2331. That's 519-733-2331. 2331 or email service@murrayinsurance.ca today for great service, friendly local staff, guaranteed same-day callback, and claims concierge service. Call today, Murray Insurance at 519-733-2331. One more time, Kevin, right? It was 4? Because he gave me crap for last time. 519-733-2331. Thank you, Murray Insurance.
What was that, Dave?
519-733-2331. Joining us on That Kingsville Podcast, marathon aficionado, Janet Morrice. Thanks for coming on the show, Janet.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So here we are. You've completed and again, was it the marathon majors? Is that correct?
Yep, World Marathon Majors.
Okay, so we'll touch on that in a moment. But recently you ran the Boston Marathon. How many times have you ran Boston now?
So that was my 5th time running the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
I haven't even driven that far in my life. Jeez. It's ambitious.
Obviously, this year, the last decade has been even more poignant with the Boston Marathon, but this being the 10th anniversary, how is that different to any of the previous 4, if it was at all?
They did a special tribute for the bombing victims, and every year they actually pay tribute to the bombing victims and their families. I think every year they invite anyone associated, anyone who suffered any injury that day. I think they invite them every year to come back as a participant. I know there's charities directly relating to the bombing victims and raising money for them. I think actually the Boston Red Sox did something for them this year too. It's very special, and they had 2 now permanent memorials placed at the site. It's quite special.
So as you run marathons obviously fairly often, but when you're getting ready for Boston, it's the one everyone knows. Do you feel extra pressure when you're starting to do your prep to get ready?
Yeah, the whole city is geared around that day. Like where we stay, the hotels, all the stores, all the shops, all the people, all the residents, everyone knows about Marathon Monday, and it is quite exciting. The energy in the air is quite exhilarating.
So what's your day look like? When you're going to run Boston, when do you get into town, and then walk us through what that day kind of comprises of?
So the Boston Marathon is always held on a Monday, Patriots Day, so is the 3rd Monday in April each year. Normally I get into town on the Saturday, go to the expo, pick up the bib, which is, your timing chip, your number, pick up any other goodies they might have for you at the expo, and kind of relax. Previous years we've gone to the Red Sox game, which is good for runners just to kind of sit around, enjoy the atmosphere, and not have too much walking on their feet. Sunday, there are numerous shakeout runs. And a shakeout run is 2-3 miles, just kind of getting the legs ready for the big day following. Just relaxing on Sunday, eating the proper meals, going out with friends for some good pasta dinners. And then Monday morning, maybe it starts, we try and get up about 5:30, get a little breakfast in, put on your racing gear, put on your throwaway clothes on top of that, which is quite funny seeing numerous people walking around in the morning with old jammies or old house robes, and then catching the buses that the Boston Marathon provides. They provide school buses right from basically where the hotel area is, and they provide, it's about an hour drive out to Hopkinton where the race starts.
And then
they drop you off. Yeah, they drop you off in Athletes Village, which can be, on a rainy day, it's not fun. It's a muddy school yard with big tents, but it's still with 30,000 people dropped off there. It gets, if it's muddy and wet, it's a disaster. If it's a beautiful day, it's quite fun to see people laying around waiting for their start time to be called.
So an hour bus ride, what kind of, as an experienced runner, what goes through your head? I mean, do you still get nervous? Do you still get excited? And for those that maybe are new or first or second time maybe doing a marathon, what advice do you have for them?
So sometimes you're able to run with your training friends from your local area. I've been able to do that a few times. This time, I just happened to bump into a lady, very nice lady from Utah. We chatted the whole way to Hopkinton, about her family, about my family, her previous experiences. I think she had run it like in the 80s, and she was telling me about how the race is unique and how it's changed but also stayed the same. So I always try and do that. I was trying, chit chat with people, and it kind of relieves the nerves and takes your mind off of things.
Here, I was thinking you were going to say you ran into somebody from Colchester, like hey, I live on the Ridge Road. It was crazy.
There were about maybe 20, 25 Windsor, Essex runners at the Boston Marathon. We always try and get together for a photo, exchange stories. We usually try and meet up at different restaurants. It's quite a fun group.
Now, do you, when you run, are you constantly looking to better your previous time or maintain a certain time, or is it a matter of just making it to the finish line and that thrill and that sort of relief?
It all depends on how your training season has gone. Like, we all have full-time jobs. Training is what we try and fit in amongst our children's athletic endeavors. My husband has his things that he likes to do. So training is whatever we can make of it. And then you kind of hopefully set realistic goals on what you might be able to achieve on that Monday. Sometimes if you've been injured and you're just kind of getting back into a good training cycle, maybe Monday is going to be a celebration run and you just run it and have fun and experience the people along the sidelines and take pictures. But if maybe you've had a great training cycle, then it is maybe a race that you want to better yourself or set yourself with a course PB or a marathon PB if you can. So everyone has a unique outplay for the day.
Now, Boston is one of the world marathon majors. Can you tell us the other cities, please?
The other cities, so Boston, Chicago, New York, Berlin, Tokyo, London.
Okay, and you had indicated that you completed that last fall with London?
Yep. I finally got my London in after many, many years. The delay because of COVID and then traveling restrictions for Canadians. Finally finished it last fall, October 2nd maybe of last year.
What were the emotions like on that date?
Oh, I really tried to take it all in. I've seen it on TV so many times in the start area. I just really tried to look around and, just suck it in, just, mental pictures in my head. Because I don't like carrying a phone when I run, so I couldn't take any pictures myself. But just taking it all in and taking in the sights, and oh my goodness, there's the Buckingham Palace, and that's the final curve, and oh yeah, it's quite something. And at the finish line, they present you with your London Marathon medal, and then they present you with your World Marathon medal, and take a few pictures there, and then I couldn't wait to meet up with my husband and my kids and take pictures with them. And yeah, it's quite a day.
Which one of the Masters was your favorite?
That's a tough question, and I often get asked it, and I ask it of other people that are finishing. It's like picking your favorite kid. It's hard to pick a favorite. They're all unique but similar. They all, people appreciate Chicago because it's so easy to get to the start line. And New York, that's the exact opposite for New York. New York is, you got to get on a subway, get on a ferry, get on a bus, all to get to the start line. But it all depends on the weather too. Berlin we loved because when I finished, we went back to the finish line area and enjoyed it was like a street party and, the Brandenburg Gate. It was just beautiful. And Chicago, we were lucky with Chicago again with a big a big party in Grant Park, just celebrating the run. So it all depends on the weather and logistics of getting to the start line. So they're all unique. I like them all. Tokyo is quite something, and just the culture and how they cheer for the runners, they're all amazing.
What course would be the most challenging? Because I would think, Beijing's probably got quite a few hills and
Beijing.
No,
nope. The toughest really? Two are Boston and New York, and that's because of the hills.
Really?
The flattest one is Chicago. Tokyo's pretty flat. London was pretty flat. Berlin is
that's
the quickest course, maybe, because that's where the world record has been set.
And it's mostly
Boston
Kenyans, right? Kenyans are the ones that just they fly. They got like rocket legs.
Yeah, they do quite well there.
Well, live at altitude, right?
Yeah, right.
So
run from lions. And I don't want to get eaten by a lion.
Come on.
Anyway, so obviously completing the world majors didn't sort of, I guess, satisfy you in the sense of you're back. You did Boston again this year. I mean, is this planning on continuing?
You can do it twice.
Basically, as far as marathons go.
Yeah, I plan on continuing as long as I can. Maybe when I get to 85, I might finally win some awards. But I'm hanging in there because it's satisfying to have the goals of racing it and finishing it. And I think it's great for everyone's mental health. I think it's great to set examples for my family, for my friends, of what can be done. I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
It's a story that locally, again, that's why we asked you to be on the show. It's not very common, right? We have the Detroit Windsor Marathon, and that's a local significant event. But for someone like yourself that's dedicated a lot of your lifetime and your leisure to do this, that's remarkable, right? I like I said, I don't know if I've ever driven that far, let alone run it. So,
but the benefit is you can combine the running with your leisure time. I enjoy my Saturday morning runs with my running training partners because we chit chat, we laugh, we joke, we tell, we critique stories and movies and TV shows, and so much goes on in those 2 or 3 hour runs that we do on Saturday morning.
We didn't ask how your time was.
Oh, my time was 3:36. So a Boston PB for me. My previous best was 3:40 from last year. So I improved by a bit.
And in the rain and the cold and the mist and fog, and good for you.
Looking at the weather forecast, it was, as we saw here in Windsor, the temperatures were getting into 27, 28 degrees. And that for a marathon is not great. So I would take a bit of coolness and rain over heat and sun any day for a race.
And just so everybody, without saying, it's 26.2 miles or almost 42 kilometers.
Yeah.
Right. You ran 42 kilometers in 3 hours and 36 minutes. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's fun. You look at the other people. Sometimes you might exchange a few words with people that you're running around. You see everything. So many different people from so many different countries. It's quite something.
Do we know who had the best time that you heard locally?
Locally, I know Jeremy Carbonera. He's usually one of the top guys. Who else? Sean McFarlane. I think he had a really great time. Michael Aubin, he did really well. Yeah, we got a lot of talented runners here in Windsor.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we're just starting the marathon and 5K, 10K season here locally. So, Janet, thank you very much for taking your time out tonight to talk to us about your amazing experience. And I'm willing to bet we're going to see you out in many of the other events this year.
Yep. Thanks so much for having me.
Great. Again, thank you for joining us on That Kingsville Podcast.
Thank you.
Okay.
We always just got introduced to marathons with, at least when I was a kid, with Terry Fox, right?
Yep.
And that was around a big foundation. But, as you grow up, you realize that it's a hobby and a passion for a lot of people, like Janet.
It's funny. Like, I like to go out for a run. Now hold on. Like I'm lucky to do 5K at a time. But it's funny hearing her talk about, like, they go out and they run and they chit chat. Like, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm wheezing.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, the oxygen capacity to have a conversation. While I was gonna say that, but wow.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm not talking to anyone.
Oh,
daughter, badminton. Never mind.
Well,
do it.
For me, it'd be all the friction on my body. I would ignite on fire with all my like the rubbing of hair.
It's impressive what they're able to accomplish.
Absolutely. Like, I wish I was dedicated to something like that. Sorry, Gary, can you say that again? Because this should be a part of the show.
It was about 6 or 7 years ago. My son ran from Ottawa to Sarnia. Yeah, it was a little less than 2 weeks.
So how many K is that a day?
Oh my gosh,
a lot.
Yeah.
Hang on, I got a map.
He ran a lot of it on the Cross Canada Trail, which makes it really nice because there's no traffic or anything.
Yeah.
And I would just go from point to point and wait for him at a crossroad or something to give him his fuel.
Oh, you ran through Omimi.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's 675
Beautiful.
kilometers.
That's what he said when he saw his dad. Oh, me.
Oh, Mimi.
Oh, Mimi. That's 675K.
That's unbelievable.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he did it. He raised money for Heart and Stroke.
Good for him.
Oh, good for him.
Jeez.
Quick hockey playoff prediction.
Oh my.
Oh, look at that segue.
No.
Steve,
Listen,
absolutely.
Okay,
there
here's the thing: it's interesting because like I'm looking through social media and I'm like, every Leaf fan is like ready to jump off a bridge.
Yep.
It's one game, Leaf fans. It's one game.
Yeah, but it matters for us.
Yeah, it does. Because
we don't have any to give away.
Hey, didn't I say Florida was going to win everything?
You may have.
You may have.
Didn't I say that?
Well, they lost game one.
I don't care.
No.
Hey,
Hey,
it's all right.
for not knowing hockey.
so we got Florida, Boston.
Yeah. Well, Boston.
Boston.
Florida. No, Florida. I'm saying.
Okay.
All right.
That's
all right,
fine.
all right.
With
I don't care if they suck.
Devils and Rangers. Rangers won game one.
Yeah, I like the Devils in that series, though.
Sure.
Okay.
Rangers are a good team, but I
think the Rangers will beat them.
Jersey.
Carolina and whoever the Islanders.
Carolina.
Yeah, I think Carolina. Although it was close game one. Actually, it's interesting. Before we go into the other series, 6 of the 8 visiting teams won game one.
Oh, wow.
Carolina and Boston were the only home teams that won, I believe, because Tampa and the Rangers were away. And then in the West, Winnipeg won. Minnesota won.
Seattle
won.
beat Colorado.
And whoever the other one is.
Dallas and...
no, that was Dallas, Minnesota.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
LA.
Vegas and
LA. No, LA and Edmonton.
Is it LA and Edmonton?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So anyway, so back.
Oh my gosh. I
didn't
shows
know.
how much I don't care
No,
about
but
the
that's
West.
just it. So I was talking to my dad and I said, I knew Tampa were playing Toronto because that's, everywhere. And I think I knew one other series. And then I had to go online to actually, I had no clue who was playing who.
It's so hard to figure it. Like, I have a hard time even figuring it out looking at the standings that I follow hockey.
Right.
Like, figure out, okay, like this, it's not just 1 to 8 anymore, right? It's all
it's divisional. Yeah.
Wild cards.
But what's crazy is even if they did go 1 through 8, you would still have some incredible series.
Yeah.
So we got Toronto, Tampa.
Yeah. We have it. I'm
going to pick Toronto. I am. And as much as it it doesn't pay me. I'm not a Leaf fan, as we know, but I think they'll find a way. I'm just like,
I'm not gonna. Probably. I can't pick against the Leafs. I'll take them in 7 still. Yeah. I probably would have taken them in 6, but after they lost game 1, found out. Did you watch the game last night? The illegal hit.
I did
hear
see
about it.
I saw
Michael Bunting.
3 games.
3 games.
Yes.
Yeah. For the
so then I noticed a bunch of comments like, everyone's like, oh, so he's up for the playoffs. He's up. And I'm like, okay. You know what? I am coming to the defense of Leaf fans here, even though that. Anyway, Dave, Toronto, Tampa,
Toronto.
Just pick
a
T.
All right,
Toronto.
All right. Dallas, Minnesota. Minnesota won game 1, I think, in overtime or double overtime. I think.
Is this like I'm going to go way back? Like they shared the nickname, so isn't it a Star
No,
versus
Dallas.
Star.
It was the Minnesota North Stars.
See?
Then they moved to Dallas, and they became the Dallas Stars.
So we got to go
Minnesota
with Dallas.
got a team.
Yeah,
The Wild.
The Wild. Yeah, but we got to go with Dallas because of Marty and Kingsville Brewery.
Fine.
Yeah. And I don't like Minnesota. I don't like the way they play.
I never had. Anyway, Colorado, Seattle. Seattle won game 1.
It has to be Colorado. Like, I know Seattle won it, but
Yeah, no, I'll go with Colorado. Dave's just.
you can't have the best forward in the game and the best
Colorado
and the best defenseman in the game and lose.
And now we got the other 2 Canadian teams. So you got Edmonton and LA.
Edmonton.
Yeah, I'll go with Edmonton.
Yes, because McDonald.
Yeah.
David.
Connor.
You got the first thing right. There we go.
I knew I saw.
Non-hockey Dave.
No.
And then the Jets with a huge win last night. 5-1 in Vegas, and they're gonna have to ride Hellebuck, but
I could see of all the upsets, that's the one I think is possible. I see the Jets matching up pretty well, as they obviously showed. I could see the Jets stealing that series. I think they'll have a tough time after that, but I could see them stealing a series.
They're Canadian. Go with the Jets.
Go with the Jets. I'm on the Jets bandwagon.
Go with the Senators.
And then
no, never. I'd rather cheer for Montreal than
in 2 weeks
Senators.
we'll figure out who's where and see if we need to make any more predictions based on the next round.
And then we can go back and edit this section so that people don't see it.
All 8 people that are done listening.
We'll leave it out there for.
All right.
Oh, another action-packed episode here on That Kingsville Podcast. Thanks to Thomas and Janet for joining us. Here we go. Here's the season, right? Temperature fluctuation. Everybody getting itchy to get back outside.
Yep.
Here we go. Please like and subscribe. We want to get like 200 or so subscribers just so we can gloat and,
It's been 2 years now.
put banners. It has been. We're
Hasn't it?
52-ish episodes.
2 years?
Right?
I thought it was more than that. No.
Didn't we start in April of?
This is season 3, yeah. So 2021 and 2022, and now we're in season 3.
Amazing.
So, holy cow! You like us? You really like us? You really do.
Or we just are gluttons for punishment.
You know what? When you don't get paid to do this, it's on your own time. Guess what? A lot of people are willing to, listen. So thanks everyone for liking and subscribing. As always, we appreciate the commentary. Thank you to Gary Glass for production. Join us next time on another riveting episode of That Kingsville Podcast.